the title. The Bulls are the world champs again.
Chicago brought a flair for the game in the 90s that I'm sure no team will ever match.
I hated to see the Bulls broken up the way they were.
All Krause did was ultimately destroy the team that won the championships.
He's the guy who is responsible for the demise of the Chicago Bulls.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny, and welcome to ESPN Classic's Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame, a series that takes a fresh look at sports personalities who are remembered largely for their mistakes, controversial moments, or questionable decisions. Our mission is to neither vilify nor exonerate, but instead to challenge conventional thinking and re-examine what has been accepted as fact. You'll see new evidence and hear new testimony. All you need is an open mind. Now, in this show, we'll count down the reasons why you can't blame Jerry Krause for the demise of the Chicago Bulls after their incredible run of 6 NBA championships in 8 years. First, let's take a look back at the evidence against him.
Jordan a drive, hangs, fires, scores! He scores! Oh my goodness!
Every single night that you watched Michael Jordan, he was Michael freaking Jordan every single time.
It was just astounding, just for the sheer beauty of what he did on the floor and the sheer success of what he did made all of our lives brighter.
There was a certain excitement about the team. There was a certain, rock star mentality about the team.
It was great. If one night one of us didn't have it, you could never tell. We were able to feed off each other and find a way to get ourselves going.
The Bulls of the 90s were probably, without question, one of the 3 best teams in the history of the NBA.
When you win 6 championships, especially 3 in a row, I think you would consider that particular team a dynasty.
But the wonderful ride would end in abrupt bitterness. Just a week after Michael Jordan nailed the Bulls' 6th title and 2nd three-peat in June of 1998, Phil Jackson confirmed he wouldn't re-sign as head coach. By January of 1999, Jordan and Scottie Pippen were also gone. Standing amid the rubble of the collapsed dynasty was the Bulls' vice president of basketball operations, Jerry Krause.
He alienated so many people. I mean, he just has such a horrible way about him.
He's not a very personable guy. He's not very media friendly. He really knows how to put his foot in his mouth.
The personal insecurities that Jerry sometimes has, his ability to irritate people, to be brusque, all of those things factor in.
He is blamed for destroying the team because he allowed his ego to intervene between the team, the coach, and all the people involved.
If Krause qualified as a scapegoat, he was also a major architect of the team that dominated the 1990s. But, like Rodney Dangerfield, he got no respect.
That's all Jerry wants, is to be accepted and to be loved and to get some credit. He's always kind of had an inferiority complex his entire life and his entire career.
I think Jerry believes he never got enough credit as a scout for finding talent, and nobody ever knew who Jerry Krause was before he became a general manager. And I think once in that position, he decided, well, now it's time, it's my time.
He was the guy who took public jabs at Phil Jackson.
I think Jerry resented the fact that Phil got so much of the credit when he had hired Phil in the first place.
He was basically a buffoon who was riding the coattails of Michael Jordan while representing himself as the brains behind Michael Jordan.
During Media Day in October of 1997, Krause went public with his feelings by saying, "Organizations win championships."
To me, that sort of epitomized what happened with the Bulls and why the run ended.
I think it was a slap to the players on that team, and I think Michael took that very, very hard.
He's the greatest player ever. He deserved the credit, and yet from his perspective, here's Jerry Krause trying to get credit and saying organizations win championships.
As discontent festered, the Jordan-Jackson alliance strengthened.
Jerry Krause and I were, really having difficulties working together. And Jerry really wanted me out, and he wanted to start over again and to begin anew.
Michael hated Krause so much that Michael was willing to place his principles on the table and say, I won't play anymore if you fire my coach or run him out of town.
He hopes that it turns around, that at some point they can work it out and Phil will stay there, and he really held tight to that. And then, when it didn't happen, you know, that was probably the worst day of his career.
I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball.
Michael Jordan never wanted to retire. He didn't want to leave. His hand was forced by Jerry Krause.
It is a tragedy that he allowed Michael to get away. Jerry Krause thought that the only way he could preserve any kind of place in history was to build a team from scratch, without Phil Jackson, without Michael Jordan.
He truly wanted to wipe that slate clean after 6 championships and start it over in his image and prove that he could win a ring by himself.
When the dust of defection had settled, the Bulls were gelded of championship talent. They failed to make the playoffs the next 6 seasons.
After Krause dismantled the team became a civic joke, a civic embarrassment. It was every Chicagoan's dystopian nightmare. Things went from bad to worse to worse.
Jerry Krause will go down as the most hated man in the history of Chicago sports, which is exactly what he didn't want.
You've just seen why Jerry Krause is blamed for the fall of the Bulls. We're going to count down the top 5 reasons you can't blame Jerry Krause later in the show. But here are a few additional reasons why you can't fault Krause. We call them the best of the rest. A lust for credit.
And I remember talking to B.J. Armstrong and Scottie Pippen. Somebody asked Scottie, you know, what do you think the legacy of this team is going to be? And then the smile that was on his face just totally disappeared. And he said, all they're going to remember is Michael winning championships.
You have volatile egos run amok. You have championship banners hanging everywhere. And you have everybody wanting credit in some way, shape, or form for their part of that banner.
I think that really explains a lot when you look at why that team broke up.
I defy you to find me somebody who could have come in and kept that thing together with all those diverse personalities and egos.
Another best of the rest, attrition. 10 Bulls became free agents after the 1998 season.
I think ultimately the reason the Bulls were broken apart was because everybody's contract ended in '98. I think it was unrealistic to expect the team to all of a sudden just say, sure, we'll put together a $100 million payroll and try to win one more championship.
We could have kept all of them by signing them to multi-year contracts, but we would then have been locked into mediocrity because of the NBA salary cap. If we had kept all of these guys around, we would not have been able to get better.